fake the handoff, throws it to the near side. The Jags will pop him right at the line of scrimmage. Hello, Wesley Miller with a big hit.
Can you say spectrum collision of the game?
There it is.
My goodness, Wesley Miller waiting in the hole for him and stopped him dead in his tracks. What a shot by Wesley. Now 3rd down and goal.
Excited about our win, in Lafayette. It was a great team win. Obviously it was a tale of two halves. Things that we talked to the team. There's always issues. Whether you win or lose, there's issues that you have to clean up. And after a win, we've got to go back, be critical, see the things that we did as coaches see the things that we need to improve on. Same thing with the players, units, offense, defense, special teams. What are things we want to build on? What are things we want to correct and improve? But proud of our effort, proud of that win. It's a huge win for us. Talked this morning, our focus is completely shifted. It's all about the Golden Eagles and understanding who they are as a ball club and getting to know our opponents on 1st and 2nd down. And a lot of great talent. The record doesn't match what's underneath those helmets. And and our players even understand that because we look at our record and we feel like we're better than our record. So sometimes that's not a great indication of what happens on game day. So we have to be prepared, be ready to go.
Questions?
You guys had not won a game where you had to make a play at the end of the game this year or in a couple of years. What does that do for the team confidence-wise, you think?
I think it's huge. That's an understatement, but I think it's important to win that type of game on the road against a quality opponent where you've got to earn it at the end. We had our opportunities at Ohio. We had our opportunities at Arkansas State. We didn't. And for us to win at App State early in the season, I think that was a little misleading, in terms of what that meant. To play a team on the other end that's 8-1, on the last half of the season, and the proof is in the pudding, the record is what it is, that means a lot more. I mean, you can tell your child all you want, this is a great job, until they go in there on their own in the classroom and pass the test on their own. It's not their confidence, they're borrowing it, they don't own it. And I think our players owned some confidence the other night. At the same time, it's not like we've arrived as a coaching staff or players. We still have work to do. We still have to improve because, let's be honest about that thing. That thing was slipping. So we have to find ways earlier in the 3rd quarter, 4th quarter, offensively, defensively, to put people away, even great opponents. Put them away to where you're not holding on to the last drive, the last play.
With all the scenarios that are out there, do you talk about that at all with the team, or is it just the single focus of this week?
The only thing I mentioned to the team was that 2 weeks ago we came in here irritated, frustrated, whatever adjective you want to use after Georgia Southern, and we said, hey, there's still a lot of stuff to play for. And I don't know, I can speculate, but I imagine there's some guys that were sitting in this room like, well, I don't know. Well, 2 weeks later, all that stuff's back out there again. So what it is, you just don't have a big enough bank of plays, big enough bank of seasons to understand. If you've coached long enough, you've been around long enough in November, you understand what 3 and 4 games means when you're within a game of conference and all those things. All those things are still possible. Now, that's about as long as we talked about it. Like, hey, there's still a lot of stuff to play for. I kind of talked to him first thing this morning was, or do we have a winning record? No. Okay, are we on top of our conference? No. Have we put ourselves in a bowl game? No. So we really haven't won anything, have we? So we have a lot to go after. And the urgency that we need to have this week, and it was good this morning at practice, it needs to be the same as it was last week or more. We've got to put the pedal down even harder.
With Southern Miss being so close, it's always that rivalry anyway, so kind of, the records don't matter. I mean, how much does that factor into what you guys are getting ready for Saturday?
Not a ton. I mean, all these kids know each other. They played high school ball together, played Mississippi, Alabama All-Star, went JUCO together. So there's a lot of knowns. And what that does is when you do know your opponent that well athletically, you're right. The logos, the records, all that stuff goes out. So, hey, I know Pat. Pat knows me. I beat Pat at that camp, and then I ran this route on him and whooped him at that game. I mean, it doesn't. Yeah, he's 9-1, whatever. I still know I'm better than Pat. That's the reality of it. So these kids know each other real well, and that's what you see in a lot of these interstate rivalries: Alabama, Auburn, Texas, Texas A&M. All these kids played each other. So the logos, the conference affiliations, your record, out the window.
What have they done differently at all, if at all, since they made the coaching change?
Defensively they are who they are. Offensively, obviously with Will leaving and Chip, Walker taking over. Ethan's been playing a lot. Rodemaker's been playing a lot, but they're still feeding their studs, in terms of 0, 1, 3's making plays with his feet. 24-20 can get in there and make plays. 8 can get down the middle of the field and make plays at the tight end position. They're doing a good job of feeding the players that can change the game and be explosive. I know they've given up more sacks than they want to, but at the same time, it's a little bit of a product of having an athletic quarterback. You may have 1 or 2 of those or 3 of those in a game, but you're probably going to have 5 or 6 explosive plays that he makes. So it's going to be a challenge, with 3 moving around, keeping eyes on 1. 0 is a really good back. 5 is 2. 24 is. 20 is. They got 4 really good backs. So we got to keep eyes on those players.
What Jamal this year, his production is basically double anybody else on the team. At receiver, just how big's he been for you guys, especially when you consider where he came from to where he is now.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, it's so much production, and it's so dependable. That's the thing. I mean, you're going to run into good athletes all the time in coaching, and some you can coach, and they can get there on game day, and they can figure it out, and they can really help you. But they may disappear for a week or 2. And then there's some guys that are really good, talented, can catch, can run, can make plays, can understand when you move the game plan around, when you change things, why you're changing things, what's going to be the result of that, what your vision is. He sees all that. And then just his personality and who he is. He's a joy to be around. He is an absolute joy to be around. He's got an old soul. Never heard him complain once. He'll go until you tell him to stop. And he was raised the right way. His parents, you could tell the coaches he had in junior high and high school. He's an absolute joy to coach, not just because he's really good and scores and makes a lot of plays, but I have never had not even a feeling of a crossword with him. I mean, just great effort. Doesn't matter what it is. We were having issues down in the ball and pooch, in our pooch situation in punt, about 3 or 4 weeks ago in practice. And he's, run so much, and his legs, you got to keep your legs as a wideout. He just walks over there to me to practice and says, "Coach, I know I haven't been playing gunner this year because you're trying to save some of my reps for wideout, but I know how to do that. I can down that ball inside the 5 if you want me to." And just there's not many guys that do that. That offer up more plays when they know they're already trying to get their legs back. And so that's just a little peek into just who he is and how he likes to compete and make plays for his team.
I guess kind of a tale of 2 halves last week. What do you see?
Well, yeah, well, certainly a tale of 2 halves. I mean, I think you got to give them some credit, but I think sometimes people tell these stories, and I think they're just, kind of just saying it. But I mean, my grandmother is, I think she's 89, 90 years old now, and I've always thought myself as the favorite grandchild. And she's the sweetest lady you'll ever meet. And I kid you not, she didn't text me. She called my dad, asking what happened in the second half. So, but yeah, we came out and I thought we started the game really well, and we were really executing at a high level, had a really good rhythm, and then the second half, and probably could have done a better job putting ourselves in some better positions, but it really kind of became a strange NFL type game where it was, you had 4 cracks at it and that was it, and we just kind of shot ourselves in the foot on the first drive, shot ourselves in the foot on the second drive. I mean, it was a lot of, they did some nice things. I mean, they got good players and good defense, and they're really well coached, but just kind of some, stuff that can't happen, and it's kind of just did not get into rhythm. Get the ball out to midfield 3 times and just, lost our rhythm a little bit. But still the best scoreless second half I've ever been a part of. So, great win.
Southern Miss, what have you seen from them? Has it changed much since they changed it?
No, I wouldn't say so. This guy does a good job. He's a Montana State guy, Bobcats. I would say you've seen different defenses in terms of, I know it didn't go their way at all versus Texas State. That game was also on the road. they had, the team that I guess is still number one in the conference, at least on our side, Louisiana Lafayette, in a one-score game, and they played outstanding, and that was at the Rock, and it's always extremely challenging to go play there. There's a lot of pride there, and you can kind of see there's a little bit different level of intensity when they play at home. So we're certainly expecting their best shot. They have talented players. They have players that we recruited here that went to Southern Miss. Young Will James is playing a lot from Theodore. He's a really good player. So they have talented guys, and the challenge is going to be we got to be ready to play, and they got length, they got speed, and they're playing at home. So we're going to have to be ready for this one.
Like I mentioned, Major, Jamal has pretty much doubled everybody else's production at receiver. Just how big's he been for you guys, and how important it is to have a guy you can kind of count on all the time.
Yeah, I mean, the ball has an interesting way of finding him. That's for sure. His ability to create. I think we got some other guys to do that too. But his ability to create, and he's hard to tackle. Can't tackle him in a phone booth. Just lends itself to. He does a nice job of catching the ball at 5 yards, and all of a sudden it turns into 15. So, you see a lot of production happen there. And when you keep doing that consistently, he earns the trust of, the team, and certainly deserves to have plays go his way. But, there's still a couple of other guys that I think we can get them the ball as well.
The goal line plays, how big is that to finally make a play? You keep talking about we need to make one play. We made one play.
Yeah, we've talked about before that college football games normally come down to 3 to 5 plays, and you got to be on the right side of those. 3 weeks ago we weren't. We gave up those 2 touchdowns late against Georgia Southern, and that was kind of the preaching point of as we got closer at the end there. It was just, hey, we had been really good in the red area all day. We had held them to some field goals, and that was the difference in those 2 games. And we talked about being at our best, and that was a play. We had a walkthrough on Tuesday, a walkthrough on Wednesday, and repped all those goal line plays that they had shown. And that play happened, that exact play happened on Thursday in practice, and Bubba made the play. And then it shows up, when the game's on the line. So obviously to win a tight one, a 1-score game, we haven't been too good at those around here since I've been here in 4 years. And so it was nice to finally get that one, especially on the road against such a quality opponent. And so, it just reiterates the fact of how those game day repetition, it becomes those practice repetitions becoming game day reality, and it worked out the exact same way. And we've taken some pride in that red area defense, and I think it's really shown this latter half of the season. So
execution-wise, did he just beat his block?
Yeah, we actually had a twist game on over there that we had been repping. So Courtney was supposed to kind of dent that side in where the tight end was. We practiced the same exact. It's crazy where we motioned the tight end across. We watched it in meetings this morning where they motioned the tight end across. Courtney dented the C gap with the tight end and the tackle. Bubba wraps around, and the backer's able to flow over the top. And that's, it played out exactly how we practiced it. It's kind of crazy how it worked out that way. But, it was a guy who refused to be blocked in Bubba. And then guys just doing their job. Really, Courtney was kind of like the sacrificial lamb there. But it was just guys doing their job and refusing to give up that last play. And, it ended up being the one that won it for us. So it was cool to see those guys and experience that for them. They earned that for how hard they practiced for 2 weeks and going on the road in that environment. I think it was a special moment for the guys that were on the field.
Well, what can that do moving forward? Because as Major said earlier, you can preach it, but until they see it happen to them, it doesn't mean a whole lot.
Yeah.
What does it mean moving forward?
Yeah, I think that's, obviously you build confidence. And so, we still got a lot to play for. And I think that they saw that, App State was picked to win the East. We went over there and did a great job against them. And same thing with Louisiana, a team that's in the top of the conference, and you go toe-to-toe and beat them at their place in a great environment and a really good football game. And we jumped out on them and had a couple of plays there. We gave up the explosive on the empty, and was a bad call by me. I wish I could get that one back. But, you learn from those. But I think, to answer your question, I think it's just confidence. They now, it's almost like, when you're a little kid and you shoot 1,000 3-pointers and you miss and you miss and you miss and you miss, and all of a sudden one goes in and then two goes in, and then you start to hit them and you feel that rhythm. It's like a golf swing. That's probably more relatable for my age. And so you finally hit that drive down the pipe, and now you gain that confidence, and now those guys know, okay, I can make a play when the game's on the line. I think about Darius McKenzie on the nod route. That was the first. He hadn't been playing a bunch of Mike, but because of injuries, Blaine was cramping. We had we had to put Darius at Mike, and they run the nod route on him, probably one of the harder routes in the red area, and he knocks the ball out of the guy's hands there. And Scruggs had one off a backline play. Wes had the big tackle. I mean, our red area defense was just, I think they've really, really played with confidence down there, and I think that was obviously a big part of the game, Saturday night.
You're from Mississippi. A lot of guys on the defensive side of the ball either are from there or came through that JUCO system. Is there going to be a little bit extra for this week because of that?
No, I don't think so. I think the extra is the fact that we can get to 6. I think that's the extra. That's probably the big thing. Obviously, when I was growing up, Southern Miss was, the pride. Back in the day, they were kicking tail and taking names. And I remember going to games growing up. Even I was a North Mississippi guy, but even going to games in Hattiesburg. I mean that place is a cool place. The Rock's a great place, and it'll be should be a fun moment for our guys. And I don't know, I don't know that there's any extra motivation from that. I think it is prideful when you go back home, and so I think a lot of our guys will enjoy that and want to play hard because their families will be there, and play hard because it's their home state, but I don't, I think that'll be more of the motivating factor than necessarily, being Southern Miss.
What do they do? They obviously had a coaching change, an offensive staff change.
Yeah.
What do you see from them?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's still a lot of the same stuff. They're playing 2 quarterbacks with Tate and Ethan, and both those guys do a great job. And obviously Crawford can do some pretty dynamic things with his legs in the run game as well. And so we got to be ready for that. And, I think it goes back to just being prepared, trusting your keys, and being disciplined on the back end. Not giving up the big shots and controlling the run game. I think we've done a good job of that, and we just got to continue to do that. It's just one game at a time, one step at a time, and continue to keep those things, keep the main thing the main thing. That's been kind of the message today, and will be this week is, stop the run, stay high on the pass game, and do our job, and let the chips fall.
Let's talk about that defensive effort, especially toward the end of the ball game when you needed some plays and you made some plays. What does that do for you guys moving forward?
Man, momentum, I knew we can do it. I would rather been on our side anyway, Shout out to Bub. That was a big-time play by him. If not the best nose guard, he is the best nose guard in, my opinion, in the nation. But for sure in the Sun Belt. But, I was happy to see him make a big play for us.
You guys have not had a win like that in a while where you had to make a play at the end. You've had some kind of slip away from it. What does that mean to you guys as a team that you're able to do it finally?
Man, it mean a lot, honestly. We let one slip away from us about 2 weeks ago, which we all know, but it was good to see us in a critical moment and make it happen. So that felt good to us, and we're just going to take that and moving forward. Just take that momentum moving forward to be better.
What a chance to win and get to a bowl game, obviously still playing for, Sun Belt Championship and all that kind of stuff. Just how do you kind of maintain that focus, I guess?
Man, just day by day. Don't really look ahead, Just taking care of Southern Miss, and that's really the main goal right now, We'll let the chips fall where they fall, but right now we're just going to focus on Southern Miss.
What do you see from them?
We gotta contain, make sure we stay on our rush lanes. 3, he's a he's dual threat type of quarterback, but as long as we do our job, play as a family, play with heart, we'll be good.
Javon, the same thing I asked Maurice was the fact you guys pulled out a close one, which you hadn't done in a while. Just what do you think that does confidence-wise for the team?
It does a tremendous job on getting everybody boosted up, ready for the next opponent. You got to come out with that mindset that we're going to win regardless of the fact of who it is, or if they're the number one person on our side of the things, or they're the least the competitor on our side of the balls, on our side of the rankings and everything like that. But it does a tremendous thing on us for trying to move forward and get our win for the next coming up game.
Is Southern Miss different in that you guys grew up playing with each other, playing against each other, and there's familiarity there? Does it feel different this week?
I wouldn't say it feels different. I mean, every opponent gonna be, how I just said, it's gonna be a game. I mean, it's a game within its own. I mean, if you see the person that you grew up with playing, I mean, you just gotta treat it like you outside. You still want to win at the end of the day. So just go out there and play our best game, not try to do anything different just because we know, I know how I did this person back when we was kids. I'll do the same thing now. Like, nah, stay true to the training that we always do each and every day. We listen to the coaches that we have, and we'll come out victorious.
What do you see from them when you watch them?
Just guys flying around. They gonna play. I mean, for their season so far, I mean, it hasn't been on the upside of things. So they're just gonna be playing just to try to get what they can for the most part. But I can see us coming out victorious though on them. I mean, they gonna just. I don't know how well they are with being coachable or being like in the moment when things get not going their way. Some teams get a little chippy, kind of like how it was a little bit with the UL game. But just going out there playing our game, and then we'll win.